Pickle! Hit the arrow sign. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today on Black Polo Day. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you'll listen to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting in this chair, sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's the Duchess of the Dorks. She has a religious exemption for Black Polo Day. Mm-hmm. She's Ashley Pickle.
I got a gray three-quarter zip, quarter zip.
Yeah, we've talked about it, about how you have like moral like problems with it, and I get that, and I want to be respectful and thoughtful about that.
Yeah,
so.
It is lady who never wears polos ever.
Exactly. And sitting to my right, also celebrating Black Polo Day.
I think every day's Black Polo Day for me.
I was fixing to say.
He's the director of recruiting for Dave Campbell's Texas Football, our friend Greg Powers.
What's up, y'all?
Hi. I was putting together, it's funny, I'm putting together, Pickle knows this, I'm putting together the game plan for TFT for during the season. And we get to Wednesday, and it's like, we've got some other things we got to sprinkle in, stuff like that, from some sponsors. But, like, really just like, it's Powers Day.
It's going to be close to the same, but we'll have a small tweak, I think, for this week in recruiting for the season. Small tweak. I don't think it's going to affect the viewership.
It's what we call a horizontal tease, folks. You'll have to tune in to find out exactly what that is.
But you won't have to wait long.
No, you won't, because do you know there's football a week from tomorrow?
It's crazy.
Like real live games? Are you going to be at a game next Thursday?
Can we make an announcement? I guess there's make a somewhat of an announcement. I think we can make it.
You can do it. You can do whatever you want, buddy.
Give it one more day.
All right. Give it one more day. Tune in tomorrow. Somewhat of an announcement.
I think we're good, but that's a text Mallory, and if so, then we can announce it in final thoughts.
Well, I know what game I'll be at. How's that?
Well,
let's save it. Hold on. Well, we're gonna tease this.
All right. Ask me what game I'm at on Friday.
Stay tuned to I will get there. Stay tuned to the end of the show. You're gonna be watching Texas Football Tonight on Friday. Stay tuned to the end of the show, and maybe we'll have an announcement for you for the opening night of the season. Today is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. 99 days to Thanksgiving, folks.
Oh, let's go.
Double digits. Yeah, you weren't here for 100 days.
It's okay. I'd rather be here for double-digit day than 100 days. I mean, 100 is important, but double digits is like,
Happy birthday to Young Thug.
Nice.
Young Thug turns 32 today. Happy birthday, Young Thug. It's episode 1631. On today's show, folks, we've got This Week in Recruiting with the aforementioned Greg Powers, our recruiting director here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Back half of the show, Powers caught up with star wide receiver for the Lovejoy Leopards. Suddenly a wide receiver factory. Their 2025 wide receiver, Daylan McCutcheon. We will hear from him coming up here at the back half of the program, so we hope you will stick around for that. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Nick Morton, Daniel Agnew, Andrew Christensen, and Buffalo Chicken Tendies. Let's go. Welcome in, friends. Especially our one specific friend in Buffalo Chicken Tendies. Correct.
Buffalo Chicken Tendies.
I had a Buffalo Chicken Tendy during the Dave Campbell Summit on Monday.
You know who is obsessed with Buffalo Chicken?
Summit.
Mallory Hartley is obsessed with buffalo chicken.
I like buffalo chicken.
I love it, but I think if she could eat it for every meal, she would.
Man, she should have took onto my. She should have been there for when I dumped the tendies into the hot wing buffalo sauce to make my own homemade buffalo chicken tendies at the Rangers game.
Oh, that rules! I didn't see you do that.
It was clutch.
But this man's an innovator. He's at the front. He's at the forefront of. You know what? When I think of Greg Powers, Pickle, let's see if you agree with this.
Okay.
The word that comes to mind is thought leader.
Yeah.
He's a thought leader.
I thought you were going to say hungry.
Speaking of
man
which,
who's hungry.
Speaking of which, I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. This week
in Crootin.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our director of recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, they have a variety of sauces for you to dip those tendies in.
Buffalo is one of them.
Buffalo, I've never gotten there, but here's the thing. I think I've said this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creature of habit. Got to get that jalapeno ranch. That jalapeno ranch hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have a ranch as well, and then I'll have the gravy. So I got a trio.
See, I can
Triple dipper, so to speak.
Here's where my respect for Chicken Express comes in. You can ride the no sauce wave whenever it comes to Chicken Express. Like the Chicken Express tender tastes delicious, sauceless. Add whatever sauce you want.
No, you're
gravy.
exactly
I'm a
right.
gravy guy, but like some other places that you like are relying upon their sauce to like go into
I'm
the rankings.
literally trying to think of a chicken tendy aside from Chicken Express that I would eat sauceless.
Well, there's a competitive company out there to Chicken Express that everybody's like, oh, well, if you dip it in the sauce, that why does that have to?
It's
you
a
don't
sauce
need a
restaurant.
sauce.
Then
Yeah,
it's a sauce
Yeah,
restaurant.
you don't need a sauce
No.
for Chicken Express.
I feel like I stand very good ground on this because I think you and everybody watching knows this, but I am a massive sauce person. Like I do not eat almost anything without some sort of sauce. So the fact that I can genuinely say that I would eat a Chicken Express chicken tender without sauce, I like all due respect to y'all. I feel like that's very high praise because I only eat sauces.
100% agree. 100% agree. You are, especially you're a ranch
The
fiend.
sauce queen.
You're a ranch fiend, especially.
Yes.
And like any opportunity,
I'll eat anything with ranch.
I was going to say, I think you seek out food for the purposes of a ranch delivery system.
Yes. Yeah.
And Chicken Express is one of those rare exceptions where you're like, I'm there for the tendies. The ranch also
It's a
hits.
bonus. Yeah.
But I'm there for the tendies.
That is correct.
Anyway.
Also, delicious bone-in chicken and fried catfish.
Bring.
I'm trying to think. I have had their bone-in chicken. I have had like a.
Oh,
like-
yeah.
like-
It's awesome.
Their
If you haven't
catfish is
gotten it
good.
in a while, it's
Yeah, I might need to
awesome.
do that.
I'm not a huge catfish person. Like that's probably. I know that's kind of
I love
sacrilegious
catfish.
to say. The right catfish is excellent. The wrong catfish, bad.
Fair.
And you can put Chicken Express in the good catfish
The
category.
right catfish.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chicken Express. We love you. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our director of recruiting. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, we're going to Mansfield Timberview to talk about their soon-to-be junior defensive back, Elijah Pratt, who picked up offers this week from Houston and Arizona to go along with offers that he's already got from Penn State, SMU, and Central Michigan. This is an odd collection of offers because, like, normally I'd be like, oh, like SMU fits right in there with Houston and Arizona. Central Michigan maybe first in the door, but then there's that Penn State offer hanging out there. So people are seeing. I think there's a lot of that speaks to a lot of different kinds of programs can see them fitting into their scheme.
Well, 3 out of his first 5 offers are P5 level offers, so that's pretty cool for Elijah Pratt. I wanted to shine the focus on him because the Mansfield Timberview defensive secondary this year is going to be really good, and Elijah Pratt's going to be a huge part of that. But they also have Nathan Tillman, a guy who's a junior that has already picked up some offers, 6'1", 190. I think those will be the 2 safeties there at Mansfield Timberview. They also have Benson O'Con out there at the boundary corner, a guy who can lock down one half of the field. Really, I guess it's not. You tell me if it's fair to say this. I feel like we don't talk about Mansfield Timberview enough.
They're super consistent, and they're really good, and they're especially good on defense. I think part of the reason we don't talk about them enough is that a lot of their stars come from the defensive side and the offensive line. They come from quote-unquote unsexy positions. They don't put out 5-star quarterbacks. Like they don't put out, like the running back who's going to go to LSU. What they do is they just put out grinders.
Well, they ran off a 9-0 district record last year, 13-1 during the regular season, and they have a lot of really good defensive players, even Dylan Battle. A defensive tackle who's picking up a lot of attention. But on the offensive side of the ball, if you flip over there and take a little bit of a closer look, they've got an interesting thing going on at quarterback because they have athlete Cameron Bates, who's committed to Boise State, a guy who lines up at quarterback. I guess, say that he's not necessarily just a wildcat quarterback because he had over 1,000 passing yards last year, 26 touchdowns, but I think they're going to be able to do some really diverse things, maybe on the offensive side of the ball this year, because they also have Zurich Humes, quarterback candidate, 6'1", 190 pounds. So it's just going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun year, I think, for Mansfield Timberview. Obviously, expectations are high within the program because of their record last year, but this is maybe like one of those sleeper teams you can put on they were one-loss team, so
they're really
state
good.
championship contenders.
Yeah, they are a team to keep an eye on there, and especially with playmakers like Elijah Pratt in the secondary, they're going to be a team to watch there in the 5A ranks. Elijah Pratt, defensive back from Mansfield Timberview.
Shout out to Coach Brown, who's got that program rolling. I think this is his 11th or 12th season out there.
I have a question.
Did he leave?
Did he go to
leave?
SMU?
I think,
yeah, he just went to SMU. Yeah.
He's the director of high school relations for SMU.
Who took the?
I know there's
that happened during the THSCA coaching
it did.
school.
Yes, it did. They promoted
Which,
their offensive
by the
coordinator,
way, is a
Robert
fantastic.
DeSanto.
That's
Gotcha.
a fantastic hire by SMU for the
Yes.
director of
Sure.
high school relations.
Absolutely, yes. I was going to say, you kept mentioning it. Some kept like ringing in my head, like there's something about James Brown. Anyway,
well, James Brown did a really good job
Yes,
of building that program up for Coach DeSantos.
And Coach DeSanto is going to do an outstanding job there as well. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is the number one prospect in the 2024 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Rising Hot 100, the number one defensive end in the state. Colin Simmons, the Duncanville defensive end who committed last week to the University of Texas. There's a lot to break down here. One of them, and this was a note from our friend Sam Kahn, that he would be, that if they hold on to him and they sign him, this would be the first consensus number one player in Texas high school football to sign with the University of Texas since 2018.
Wow.
That was Caden Stearns.
Okay.
The Cibolo Steel safety. You sat here on this program last week.
It's an interesting consensus, number one, because I feel like the Caden Stearns class, it was like up in the air all year. But anyway.
I think according to 247,
not
that's
to
what he's citing.
diverge too far from the...
You sat here on this show last week, and you said that if Texas could get a commitment from Colin Simmons, it would be the biggest commitment that they have had in the Steve Sarkisian era, even more than Arch Manning. Do you stand by that?
Yeah, I stand by it because just the position value. Arch Manning was, I think, a huge commitment for a various number of reasons. One, it probably helped entice other players to join that class. So I think the ramifications of Arch Manning's recruitment in general rung out really loud. But I think Colin Simmons is a leader in a lot of similar ways on the defensive side of the ball. The number one player in the state, I think, by every organization right now out there who does rankings, as you said, he's the consensus number one. Brings an edge rushing quality I think that we haven't seen in Austin for a while. Plays on one of the most loaded teams in the entire country. I was talking to someone this morning about, does Duncanville have more players on its roster that will go to D1 schools than Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma has in the class of 2024?
Yeah.
I think they might. But I'm going to try to put pen to paper on that. Colin Simmons is – I compare him favorably to Calevon Chason at LSU. That's my player comparison for him. I like that. He was a 5-star himself, drafted very high in the NFL draft. I think Colin Simmons will develop in a similar way at Texas. And generally, I would say whenever you have the number one player in the state commits to an in-state program, it's a slam dunk for commit of the week, right?
I would agree.
Well, his teammate made this a difficult choice because the number one player in 2025 is Duncanville wide receiver DeCorian Moore, and he also decided to commit this week to LSU. So, I mean, to muddy the waters on who your commit of the week might be, DeCorian Moore made it a tough selection because do you want to – who's more highly rated? If you're number one in 2025 or number one in 2024 – who's the more highly rated commitment. So we'll shout out DeCorian Moore and of course, Caden Durham, who also made a commitment to LSU.
It's a nice little weekend for LSU, too, there at Duncanville High School, that they were able to get commitments from Caden Durham, one of the very best running backs in the state, as well as the number one overall player in the class of 2025 in DeCorian Moore. But for Colin Simmons, this is, for Texas, this would be their highest rated edge rusher to sign with the Longhorns since Jackson Jeffcoat.
Wow.
Okay? So we're talking like 13, 14 years since they've had a playmaker coming out of high school of this caliber if they're able to end up signing him.
And that's why I kind of rated him, why I say it's more important than Arch Manning. They've got the number one quarterback in their class, and with Quinn Ewers, who's coming back. Arch Manning, very important. I mean, he's a Manning. But I just think that Colin Simmons is he's a different breed. The words I use to describe him generally are terror and game altering.
Yeah.
So I think that he's a big time addition. I mean, this was a huge get for UT, and I like it as a huge commitment because when we interviewed him back towards the end of the 2022 season, he didn't mention Texas. He didn't mention
So they closed.
It didn't mention them at all. It wasn't one of the schools that was like, oh, this is a school that's recruiting me the hardest. So Texas closed really strong on Colin Simmons and setting the table for what's going to be, I think, a remarkable recruiting class in 2024.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Let's roll on to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week. We're going staying at the DFW Metroplex, going to the private school ranks, talk about Parish Episcopal's soon-to-be junior quarterback Sawyer Anderson, who committed this week to Purdue. Big Ten for Sawyer Anderson. He had a ton of offers, including places like TCU, A&M, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, and SMU. He's led Parish Episcopal to back-to-back TAPS Division I state championships, threw for 3,100 yards last year. This is a really nice pickup here for Purdue, who, once again, it's hard. It's really hard not to think David Blau. That's right. The one thing that comes in is here's a guy who's maybe a little bit under the radar right now, but they get in early in a DFW area, prolific quarterback, and they end up turning him into a Boilermaker.
Yeah, I think David Blau was a guy who really emerged after a strong off-season heading into his senior year. If you recall, he went to the Elite 11 and opened up some eyes. Real strong leader. Sawyer Anderson, there's a lot of people out there who watched Johnny Untold. Over he's that style of quarterback, right? I'm not putting him in the Johnny Manziel category right now, but he's an improvisational quarterback with a good arm who's not afraid to press the action, take chances with the football. He's pretty athletic when he pulls the ball down to run, and just brings a lot to the table, including a championship pedigree and a strong college pedigree as well. Longtime Dave Campbell's Texas football fans are going to remember his grandfather, Don Anderson, who was on the cover of
1965.
The 1965 magazine, played his college football at Texas Tech, was drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Just one of the greatest athletes maybe to ever play in Texas high school football and Texas college. So, I mean, is it Dandy Don?
Yeah, he was. I think that's Don Meredith, but that's okay.
We can call him that.
Donnie Anderson. A brief Donnie Anderson story. I was at the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony a couple of years ago, and I was just wandering through the Dave Campbell's. They have a whole bit that's just about Dave Campbell's. And I just always like going over there and reading all the stuff because I'm a nerd. And I was sitting there and just reading something, and over my shoulder I hear somebody say, You see that, darling? They put me on the cover because they said I was the most handsome man in Texas. And I turn around, it was Donnie Anderson. I'm like, that rocks, man. Heck yeah, you should absolutely tell people that that's why Dave put you on the cover. And you know what? Handsome-looking guy. And now his grandson, Sawyer Anderson, a Purdue commit there from Parish Episcopal.
Purdue's doing a really good job recruiting the Lone Star State. Graham Harrell's there. I think that's a strong connection. They also hold a commitment from Caleb Mitchell-Irving at Parish Episcopal, so they're recruiting that school particularly well. And one small point to add, Sawyer's dad, Blake Anderson, was an all-SEC catcher at Mississippi State.
Oh.
So some good ties to the college ranks as far as sports are concerned, and I thought it was cool that Donnie Anderson was, won Super Bowl I and II. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week is Clear Springs offensive lineman Blake Ivy, a DCTF 4-star offensive lineman. The reason that we're making him our recruit of the week is very selfish. Saturday, 10 a.m. on Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Blake Ivy is going to commit.
Let's go.
He is going to commit live on our airwaves Saturday morning, 10 a.m., live here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football on our YouTube page. This is a 4-star offensive lineman. There are 3 schools that are considered to be in the mix: A&M, Texas, and LSU. He's got a bajillion offers, but he appears to have narrowed it down to 3. This is a big get for one of these programs. They're gonna have a really nice Saturday morning for one of these squads.
It's going to be a fun commitment too, because Blake Ivy is a recruit who plays everything very close to the vest. Like he's not a guy out there who does a lot of interviews. He doesn't talk to the media very often at all. There are some like predictions out there on them, but they're very antiquated. They're old, so there hasn't been a whole lot of updates on like who's standing out. He took official visits to those 3 schools, so there hasn't been like an announcement that those are his top 3. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves since he took official visits to them, that they're probably the 3 that are the most seriously in the mix. And Clear Springs is another one of these programs underneath the direction of Anthony Renfro down there that is really on the rise in the Texas high school football landscape. That team is loaded with top prospects. As a matter of fact, they had a couple that made commitments this week, and running back Ray Edwards, who committed to Houston Christian, and that's an absolute steal for Houston Christian. He's the number 14 rated running back in the state, in a running back class that's really loaded. He's a guy who catches the ball well out of the backfield and has a little bit of power to his game as well. You can see him running the ball here as Blake Ivy opens up a massive lane and bullies a guy about 20 yards upfield. And they have a defensive lineman, Isaiah Johnson, who made a commitment to Memphis this week. But those aren't the only ones. You know, they're loaded up with talent in the younger classes as well. Class 2024 is very bright. I'm just interested to see where Blake Ivy's going to go. You know, who's going to be on that DCTF cover when he reveals it. You know, that's what I'm most excited about, and just to go down there and be a part of it.
Do you have a prediction?
Well, I mean, I think it's probably going to be somebody in the SEC.
Okay. That's rude. That's very rude. He's always rude. He's Greg Powers, our director of recruiting.
That's not a good one.
What?
He's nice to me.
He's nice to Pickle, but he's rude to everyone else. He's Greg Powers, director of recruiting for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Stick around, because I want you to tell me a little bit about the young man you talked with.
And we also got confirmation from Mallory Hartley that we can
make an announcement at the end of the show.
Make an announcement.
So stay tuned for that. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Now, a word from these goods and services.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texans love doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Powers, you caught up with a rising star wide receiver at Lovejoy, correct?
Yeah, Daylan McCutcheon, man, wide receiver. I guess it's not you. Wide receiver HSFB.
Yeah, I was going to say, wide receiver high.
Yeah,
something like that. They put out. Golly, Lovejoy's always got like 8 really good receivers on their roster.
Parker last year, LSU. Parker Livingston this year committed to Texas. Well, next in the pipeline is Daylan McCutcheon, I think he's got 20 scholarship offers already from some of the top schools in the country. He breaks down some of those with us as we caught up with him in an exclusive interview last weekend.
Here's Lovejoy wide receiver Daylan McCutcheon here on Texas Football Today.
It's Greg Powers, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and I'm out here joined by one of the top players in the state. That's 4-star wide receiver from Lovejoy High School, Daylan McCutcheon. Daylan, Lovejoy's, I know, coming back. I come over there and watch y'all practicing the screen. There's a chip on the shoulder over there. How's the team been attacking, this 2023 season, getting ready for it?
We've been working hard across the off season and the summer. We've been coming every day in performance clinics, building chemistry together as a team, and working hard each and every day to come back and be able to win it all.
Talking to Corey Moore a little bit earlier, he said last season Dunkerville's, what drove them to try to win that state championship to that next level was the loss that they suffered the season before. Kind of talk about the loss that y'all suffered last year and how y'all are using that as motivation. I know you got that game. I know you want another shot at it this year.
Yeah, we just think about that game every day, losing to South Oak Cliff in the playoffs. We use it as motivation every day in practice, and we just think about it, work hard, and just move on from it, and be able to improve and work on the things that made us lose in that game.
Kind of talk about your own development, man. Every time I turn around, I feel like I see you on social media. You're out training, getting better at your craft, perfecting your craft. What do you feel like you've worked on to improve going into what is going to be a big junior season for you guys?
The main thing I've been working on is my speed and then breaking out of my route, because I know when I play in these games in my junior season, I'm gonna be catching the ball and breaking out of my route, just getting yards after kicks. And that's just the main thing I've been working on, is my speed and being explosive and creating separation from the DB.
Lost Kyle Parker, went to LSU. That's a big-time player. But Jalen Lott's coming up. Is he going to be able to fill some of those shoes? He's a young pup, but is he fitting in pretty good?
Yes, sir. He's doing good, but obviously he's young, don't know any better. But
yeah,
we got some good leadership to do.
It just seems like Lovejoy's like wide receiver U now, right? Like every time you look around, like you got Parker Livingston coming out this year. He's going to Texas. You got yourself in the class of 2025 already rated a 4-star, and then you got one beneath you, Jalen Lott, coming up behind you. But I guess you could also throw in the tight ends because you got Ridge Barker and Barrettini. The offense is loaded. It got to put a smile on your face just to think about the numbers that you guys could put up. Anyway, I'm a dude talking football. I could talk about it all day. I want to kind of talk about your recruiting process. How many offers are you up to? What's it like to have that attention?
I'm staying at 30 offers right now.
Wow.
It's a lot. I'm really blessed to be in the position I am right now, and I'm really thankful.
I know I'm going to pick some schools out to ask you about specifically, but I want to recall the first offer that you got. Who was the first offer, and what was that day like for you and your family?
The
very first offer. Who was it, and what was it like knowing that you were going to play college football?
My very first offer was Memphis, and that's just the one offer that shocked me out the most, because that was right
out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was right after spring practice. My coach got a call, and then he put me on the phone with him, and I was just very shocked, and I was surprised, and I actually started tearing up to my dad, telling him about it, and he was very shocked and proud of me.
29 offers later, I'd be here all day if I asked you about all of them, so I can. I'm only going to ask you about the first one, and then I picked out some that I'm going to ask you about specifically. I'm going to go to South Bend. What is it about Notre Dame that keeps them relevant on your list? Why could you one day play for the Fighting Irish?
They always hit me up, and that's just one school that I know that has everything that can offer me for the table, a college school that I can go to. I know it's a school that can develop me and be able to help me not only in football but academically and after college.
Texas is a school in the state. Parker Livingston recently committed there, so I know he's in your ear about the Longhorns. What is it about UT that gives them a realistic shot? And I know that Coach Jackson's probably going to be one of the names that you drop when you explain UT.
Yeah, Coach Jackson, he been hitting me up a couple of times. We're talking about UT, and then obviously Parker bringing it up about UT, how much he loves it. And I definitely take Texas into consideration. It's a nice school. I really enjoy it.
Fresh off of a visit down to Florida State. When I was a kid, Florida State was like that school, right? Like they made a whole movie about them called The Program, where it was basically kind of about how great Florida State was. It seems like Coach Norvell has that program rising back to prominence. What is it about the Seminoles that you liked when you went down to Tallahassee this year?
I liked everything about them. It's just one thing that Coach Norvell told me is this is a team full of real people. If you think football is the only thing that you think is important to you, then you should not be able to come to Florida State. So it's just more than football. It's all about family, being able to develop chemistry, and being able to work as a team.
That was a good recruiting pitch, Coach Norvell. I like how you did that, man. That was Daylan McCutcheon. He's got a big junior season coming up this year as Lovejoy looks for a state championship ring, trying to get one. I know it. Good luck as you go through that, and also good luck as you go through what's going to be an exciting recruiting process.
So,
There he is, Daylan McCutcheon, Lovejoy wide receiver, class of 2025. Sharp young man.
Yeah,
And
definitely. I like that they have that. I mean, they're in the off season. That team is focused on advancing past SOC if that's who they draw. You know, that Melissa Lovejoy game is so very important based on the draw for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
But if they match up with South Oak Cliff again, Lovejoy is like clear eyes focused on trying to take that game.
They're going to be a team to fear, and that's because of Daylan, in large part because of Daylan McCutcheon, their star wide receiver. We appreciate his time. Normally, this would be the time where I say, let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts. But let's go over to Greg Powers.
Grab.
So the thoughts before the final thoughts?
This is final thoughts. This is final announcements.
This is an announcement
Okay.
from Greg Powers.
So tune in next Thursday.
Opening night.
Opening night of the Texas high school football season. We will be airing McKinney versus Longview at McKinney ISD Stadium.
Oh, cool. I'm sure
And-
it's on just some is it on? That sounds like maybe like a giant worldwide network or something. I'm sure that we've found a way to just get that broadcast on, like, it might be on ABC, right? It might be on CBS. Is it not?
It's on the most important network, Texan Live.
Let's
Wait,
go.
we got the rights to that game?
We got the rights to Longview McKinney.
That's like one of the biggest games of the week, the year. And we get it on Texan Live?
We got it on Texan Live,
Okay.
but there's a little bit
That's
of
cool. I mean, I would presume we're flying in like Kirk Herbstreit, or we're
Even
getting
better.
or we're getting in I don't know, Brees Davis.
We only use professionals around.
we
here.
have the Matt Stepp doing
Whoa,
color.
awesome!
Let's
That's
go.
So
fantastic.
Matt Stepp kicking off
I am-
the Texas high school football season on Texan Live.
I'm sold. I'm in. There's
It can't-
no way
it
that this
can't
can
get
be
any
any better.
better.
And your boy's doing the play-by-play.
Let's go.
Yeah, play-by-play
Grub.
debut.
Powers, play-by-play Powers.
Powers and Stepp on game 1 of the Texas high school football season.
Ted Emmerich, you're toast. It's over for you.
Jonathan Agamadu, I've got your name pegged.
Let's go.
God's Power One Way, I've got you pegged.
Yeah,
Xavier Filsamy,
I'm glad you said that
pegged.
because God's Power
This is why you're not on
One-way.
play-by-play.
One way because I said it wrong to Coach Shavers, and he goes, "Let me stop you right there, Tab." In that way that he says, and he says like, "No, it's one way he," and I'm like, "Okay, got it." Okay,
Yeah, so
dude, that's awesome.
There's some tongue twisters in there, but there was last year as well. When we
You
did
and
the
Step on Texan Live on one of the biggest games of the week.
week 1, and what are we going to have some of those highlights on when? When are we going to have
We
those
sure
highlights
are.
if you can't
So
catch
you
the
can
game?
tune in to the game, TexanLive.com, I believe 7 p.m. on Thursday,
Okay.
August 24th. So opening night. And then after
But
you
that's,
just...
that's I presume our programming ends after when you guys sign off.
I would assume, but I don't
Yeah.
think it is.
Not only will we have a whole list of unbelievable live games that you can watch the remainder of Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday during the day on TexanLive.com,
programming.
which we'll start revealing those slowly as the week goes on. We will also have the premiere of our new Friday night show, Texas Football Tonight, a red zone style show where we will be spotlighting some of the largest games in the state on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. We'll be flipping live into those games, but if you missed the game on Thursday and want a full recap, we will have a full recap of the game from Thursday night, Longview versus McKinney with Greg Powers and Matt Stepp on Texas Football Tonight. So come get all your highlights. It's free. The game, got to pay to watch the game. Get all the highlights the next day
free,
for free.
live and
Faux
available,
free.
folks. Free, live, and available. The what time's Texas Football Tonight going? 7?
Texas Football Tonight for free on TexanLive.com is 7:30 to 10 every single Friday night of the Texas high school football season.
Taylor Tatum, Oklahoma commit Taylor Tatum, and Marcus Shavers versus John King.
That is
love
like
it.
one of the most elite coaching matchups that you can find.
So I guess next week, what we should probably let's just produce on the air. Next week we should probably make a habit each week of revealing our spotlight games for Texas Football Tonight,
Yeah.
because I've seen the list for
It's-
week 1, folks.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's this is a bad word in my household, but I can say it on this air because my kids aren't watching. It's stupid.
We set the spotlight games 2 weeks ago when we were down in Houston. Mallory and I were down in Houston visiting with our Texan Live guys, and we all sat down, literally pulled out the drawing board, and was like, "All right, here's where we can be. Here's who we can spotlight." I sent it in the Slack chat. I was like, y'all are not going to believe this opening lineup that we have for Spotlight games. It's insane.
Crazy. And the cool thing, correct me if I'm wrong, executive producer, the cool thing about Texas football tonight is that let's say that a game that wasn't on our radar but is on Dave Campbell's Texan Live ends up being a banger, okay? Ends up getting into 49-44 and they're throwing in the end zone in the final play. We can just go live to that game, right?
Yep, we are incredibly excited for this show because we do have that capability. We don't have to stick to the script. We're going to have the 6 games, most likely 5 to 6 games a week that we're habitually going into. But if one of those games end up being an absolute stinker and there's some under the radar third and fourth place, last place in district game that's going into double overtime, man, we're switching around. So we're really excited. We'll get you comprehensive coverage across the state, live game action and commentary over it. Our Dave Campbell's people will be the ones on air doing it, and so we're really, really pumped up. Next Friday.
How many games, without like giving away, how many games do you think will produce week 1 of the Texas high school football season on Texan Live?
Oh man. Okay, on Friday night, I think we're definitely around 40, and that's just on Friday night. We have a massive slate coming up. I would say
There's a big Thursday slate too.
Massive Thursday slate. My guess is going to be between 60 and 70 by the time it's all done, just in week 1.
60 or 70 Texas high school football
I'll
games
come
live.
back tomorrow with a much more firm number on that. It might be 50 to 60, but it's a ton.
Because that's the thing. So I was going to go out to a game on Thursday, the opening night, but my wife was like, no, I have something to do and you're watching the boys. Tough but fair.
I was bummed. So what's your audible that you
So
called?
I was bummed out for a moment, and then I was like, oh, wait, I'll just stay home and watch Texan Live.
That's been
I'll
my
just watch
strategy.
Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
That's been my strategy like the last two. Like if something pops up, you
Yeah.
know, like I'm
not
actually
here to
watching more games at home.
I'm not here to tell you to not go to high school football games. Go to a high school football game. We're big fans of that. But also get out your phone. Just like
I was fixing to say, man, if you've got an iPad, like we're taking this to the next level because you can pull up multiple broadcasts on Texan Live and sit at the game actually watching it. So
you can two-screen it, like live action, and then also.
And you can also, let's be honest, if you are staying home to watch Texan Live games, please two-screen the show. With other games that are actually going on. If there's a game that you're super interested in, put us up because then you're getting the best of both worlds. You're seeing all the games that we have circulating through Texas football tonight, and then you're also getting to tune in to the game that you actually want to watch on Texan Live.
That's one of the things. So we've gone too long talking about ourselves, but I'll just do one more thing. Like last night, my wife was trying to watch something on Netflix, but my mom was using our Netflix and my brother was using our Netflix, and you can only use 2 screens. And I was thinking, like, man, it's pretty great that Texan Live, you can two-screen it and just be fine. Like, you can have 2 different broadcasts on 2 different devices in the same account going at the same time. So make sure you are getting your snootful of Dave Campbell's Texan Live starting next Thursday. Although starting like today.
I was just going to say, we've got water polo going on. We've got volleyball going on.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, is this
Dave
the
Campbell's
weekend with that giant volleyball tournament?
weekend.
That was last weekend.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys already did 700 volleyball games or
Yep.
something like that.
Tune in Thursday to hear the sultry sounds of Matt Stepp.
And Greg Powers. Don't sell yourself short.
Grab.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Lovejoy wide receiver Daylan McCutcheon for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle and Greg Powers, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.